The number one reason why the Holy Spirit instructs you, and I'm talking to believers now, I'm not talking to everyone. The number one reason, it's not the only reason, but it's the main reason why the Holy Spirit instructs you not to be unequally yoked with unbelievers, is because common people, they have this issue with control. Common people crave control far more than a heroin addict craves heroin. I mean it. Common people are obsessed with control. With them, it all comes down to one thing: successful control. That's why the pagan rulers of this world, they construct financial systems in such a way that common people feel in control, even if that control is just a hoax and it often works against them. Common people prefer an oppressive financial system than to be free. You want proof? Just look around you. Just look around you. Why would anyone in their right mind tolerate the present world system in which you have parasites who are often involved in pedophilia, in all kinds of weird devil worship? They are the ones having all the ease, while the majority of population has to work all the time, be exhausted, they die earlier, they age earlier. It robs them of their natural joy and their natural autonomy, yet folks put up with it. They make hundreds of excuses why nobody can take down the system. The only thing that needs to happen is that a large sum of people refuse to comply. If for one day nobody would go to the mall in a country, let's say you have a country, let's take Belgium for example, or the Netherlands, or let's take the Netherlands for example. If one day nobody goes to the mall, people, let's say everyone goes to the supermarket just to get what they need, but let's say nobody goes to the mall. Nobody is interested in iPhones, iPads, nor in luxury items. If for one day people only go to the supermarket for things they need, but they don't spend anything on luxury items, if that happens only for one day, the economy would collapse. Even if just one day, the banks are going to feel it. Those pagan businessmen will feel threatened. Why? Because if for one day a population would refuse to give in to these relief-seeking spending habits, it's then that the hoax will be visible. It is because everyone is in movement to seek relief that nobody notices the hoax. The moment people notice the hoax, people will demand answers, and the pagan businessmen as well as the pagan politicians can't give answers. But here's why that is not likely to happen. It will happen that common people will revolt when they're hungry, and it's obvious the government doesn't care about them being hungry, then they will revolt. But as long as they can fill their stomach and they can avoid facing life's difficulties, they can cheat their way out of life. As long as they can do that, it's unlikely that a big revolution, like I just explained, would ever happen. That people would just stop with their compliance to the system. Because the moment they stop complying with the system, they need to face things. The moment common people have to face things, they also have to face the fact that what they consider control is just a hoax. It is because this world system is in place that they can avoid facing this truth. It's because the matrix is operative that they can hide in the deception. That's why anyone out there, I don't care what your skin color is, I don't care if you have the degrees or not, the moment anyone sees through the deception, they need to be careful. Why? Because the common folks around don't want to give up the matrix. They don't. It's too precious for them. They invested everything. They invested all their life force in the system. So the moment they find out that the system is nothing but a hoax, that means that all the life source that they spent throughout their lifetime into the system was all for nothing. That means they need to start all over again. That means all the relationships will collapse. And they are codependent on those relationships. And those relationships are, let me say it like this, those relationships are what provides them their self-validation. And it's this self-validation that is their narcissistic supply. They're not all narcissists, but they all feed on narcissistic supply or narcissistic relief. The moment they don't have narcissistic relief anymore, they will face withdrawal symptoms. The loneliness, the frustrations, the fear of death, all their mental and emotional issues will be visible. And then they realize that everyone around them has those issues and that everyone has to deal with them. And dealing with them means there's no escape. But because they're not into facing frustration, because they can't handle frustration, and they can't handle difficulties, they will escalate. And when they escalate, it will turn violent. People will jump on each other. Some will pick up arms. Others will pick up knives. It will become one big bloodbath. Think about The Purge. You have several movies called The Purge in which the population is granted permission to do whatever they want for just 12 hours or a whole day. So for 12 hours or a whole day, they can release all their frustrations and just act out without consequence. And you see in the Purge movies, the moment people can just dump all the frustrations without any consequences being placed at the other end of their actions, without any social deterrence, you would be surprised how much rage people have. You would be surprised and shocked who would turn into psychopathic killers instantly. Look, this is not a doom video, okay? This is not a conspiracy video. I'm giving you facts. Common people crave control. Why? Because without control, they need to face things. And control is a hoax to begin with, but as long as you can provide the illusion of this hoax, they're already happy. And control can only happen if there's someone else being controlled. So someone needs to be at the end of the controller. But nobody wants to be at the end of the controller. So what you then get is that people are fighting all the time about who has control. Because nobody wants to be controlled. But they do want control, and control can only work if there's one controlling and someone else being controlled. That explains the state of the world. People don't want to forfeit this clinging onto control. Because they don't trust the Most High. That's what it comes down to. The whole financial system is based on providing this illusion of control. Because it's this illusion of control that makes worldly people quote-unquote happy. It's not real happiness, but that's what their happiness is based on. Successful controlling. Even if that controlling is at their own expense. If for one day this hoax of controlling would be exposed what really is, nobody would comply with society anymore. People wouldn't feel, provoked to be kind, to be polite, and to be considerate. Because to have empathy means that you're vulnerable. And being vulnerable means that the possibility of being hurt or being judged is there. And the whole idea of wanting control is to prevent vulnerability. Common people don't want to be vulnerable. They always want to have some upper hand. So, empathy amongst common people has to be forced. Has to be, how would I say it? They have to be coerced to show empathy. That's why you have society. Society constructs people in such a way to show empathy to those close to them. That's why you have the us versus them. That's why you have all those cults. Because without society to force people to have empathy, most wouldn't have it. Why is it that we have special professions like psychologists or nurses or social workers to help people emotionally? Why can't you just go to your neighbor for sympathy? It comes down to this. Empathy requires vulnerability. Vulnerability implies no control, no upper hand. Means not knowing what's going to happen. Means you have to face whatever comes. Folks don't like that. That's why there are special professions out there where they require people to have empathy. Such professions shouldn't even have to exist. Empathy should be something that's common and normal within the human population. But it isn't, because the human population is in rebellion against the Most High. The human population doesn't want to face the fact that the Most High decided that we should be mortal now, and will be immortal when He resurrects us at Christ's return. And that immortality will be based on Christ's power, not our own. The human population has an issue with being vulnerable. That's why they all crave control. And this is what makes them dangerous in the long run. Why do you think that the pagan rulers live in mansions far away from the common population? Why is it that you have special services or paramilitary services that guard their properties? Because the pagan rulers of this world know very well how worldly people are. And they know very well that under the right pressure, they'll escalate. Well, believers, we ought to be far more advanced in our understanding than the pagan rulers of this world. That's why the pagan rulers of this world constructed society in such a way that everything operates in a cycle. Because a cycle gives the illusion of control. That's why when Christ walked the earth and He performed miracles, people were offended. Why? Because a miracle comes down to escaping a cycle. If someone has a disease, they are in a self-destructive cycle that kills them. If they're healed from that disease, they're out of the cycle. But here's the thing. If someone is in a cycle of self-destruction, others can predict what will happen. And they can adapt their expectations based on that prediction. So when that prediction is annulled, because someone suddenly is healed, now they need to alter their expectations. Now they need to make room for that individual. So people are not always happy when a miracle happens. They're seldom happy. That's why in pagan Christianity, there is no real healing. If someone has cancer and they go to a pagan church and a pagan apostle lays hands on them and suddenly the cancer is gone, that's not healing. The issue is relocated. That individual may have lost the bodily tension that caused the cancer, so the body heals. But at the same time, another demon comes in and now they have financial troubles, or now they have domestic violence issues. And the tension that was removed from the body is now dumped on someone else in that church. Someone else now has a physical disease. That is how it goes in the paranormal. There is no real deliverance. Things are just relocated. Why are things relocated? Because common people don't want miracles. Miracles disrupt their expectations. When their expectations are disrupted, it means they need to examine themselves, they need to face things. Then they need to realize they're not the Most High. And facing that they're not the Most High is the thing they don't want. So anything that comes near this, they perceive as an enemy and as a threat. Why do you think Christ told us that the world would hate us? Because they hated Him first. So don't be surprised when the Holy Spirit blocks almost everyone around you from having contact with you when you're being blessed. Because that's the protection. Because the Holy Spirit knows those people don't want blessings around them. Blessings around them disrupt their delusion of being the Most High. It disrupted their delusion of control. And once the delusion is disrupted, man, they're coming after you. Your life will be in danger. So, unlearn the ways of the world, so that you're not unequally yoked with them. Agree with Christ and be at peace.